Oh, Witcher, I'm glad I found you. I've got something for you.
We know each other?
So surprised by a stranger bearing gifts. Ah, you humans, egotistical barbarians you are. I was in Flotsam when the massacre started. Just accept it. I won't take no for an answer.
Thanks.
Thanks indeed.
I'll say it again. Humans are strange. Let's hear it. See, when they're to marry, they become terribly picky. Have to check everything. Whether the bride's been ploughed, has a dowry, is diligent. Yet here we've a common girl, Saskia. Claims she's a virgin. And nobody questions her virtue. They just follow her to war. To death. What do you say to that? You've answered your own question. Humans follow adventure, get drunk on ideas, and while drunk, have no doubts. They flee their everyday lives and plunge into dreams. Exactly. The rich and the poor alike. Not just humans are that.
Yeah. It's kind of interesting. I don't think... This is totally fine for them to be talking like that, but I don't think there's only one sort of major human culture in the world of The Witcher. I'm pretty sure there's multiple, which means that them being like, oh, humans do this and humans do that, is more revealing of their own lack of worldly knowledge than anything else, because obviously, if they only know one human culture, then they would assume that it's humans, but it's gotta be like Redanians or whatever we are. Pontar people. Spark! That's a beautiful name.
Oh, another traveller. From where? Wait, let me guess.
From Temerida.
Had it at the tip of my tongue. So, what brings you to Bergen? Wait, I know.
Business.
Just what I thought. And you're...
A witcher.
Well, well. We don't often see witches here. What do witches do, anyway?
We solve problems.
Oh, I have a problem with my boyfriend.
Did you find his entrails strewn on the porch and his head a few paces away? Because those are the kind of problems I solve.
Fair, but I don't think she's gonna reply to that, Geralt. Let's trade. She sells cucumbers and fish, which is a jolly combination. Excuse me. Hi. Can I not talk to your friend here? I can light that up, ruin your cooking, do all the bad things. Also, you have things back here, and I must take all of that because of the armor crafting, you see. Vidar, it was you that I talked to just now, wasn't it? Yeah. Oh, you also have things over here. Elemental stones. Yeah, we have a few of those. Excuse me. And cloth. We have a lot of it. Felix. Oh, yeah, I just talked to you. But not these gents. Oh, some armor. An elven messer. Isn't that... No, a messer, not messer. Messer. It's a German word, I think. It's a weird characterization for what a sword is, and it's got to do with historical reasons why it even exists in the first place.
How do you see it? Do the gods favor Lady Saskia, as she claims?
The gods never favor rebellions that seek to topple the natural order of things.
Admit it. You'd rather not see a woman at the head of an army, especially when sorceresses surround her.
Even a child knows that sorceresses are godless, deceitful, and lecherous.
Leave them be, Father. They're willing to fight for us, let them. I see no need to peek beneath their covers.
So you wish to tell me the sorceresses stand to gain nothing from this? It will be the first time in history, and I simply don't believe it.
Saskia believes them.
They've bewitched her!
Saskia the pious? Black magic don't cling to her.
I think we best change the subject before things get out of hand.
And they did. Hey, little girl, do you agree with them? Because they even little kids and all that. I saw that one he said even little kids, and she just buggered off elsewhere. Yeah, so what a messer is, it's basically a sword. I think it can be any type of sword, but traditionally it is a scimitar-style sword, or a saber-style sword. So curved blade, single edge. And it's a sword that has a knife-like building to it, in the sense of what the... Let's see. Do I like that? Yeah, sure. In the sense of how the handle is made. It's made like a knife rather than like a traditional sword. And that's why it's called a messer. And I think there's another word for a similar style construction of sword that does have a sword kind of hilt. And the reason why they exist is because I think, I might be wrong about the details, but I think it's like 1400, 1500, Central Europe, a bunch of countries were like, only these people can make swords. And then a bunch of blacksmiths were like, oh yeah, well I'm gonna make knives then. And they made big knives, basically. Effectively, that's what messers are. But then again, so is a sword. A sword is basically a big knife. But the argument and the legal, I say argument, but really the legal definition came down to how the hilt was built. Which is really weird because they function exactly the same. It doesn't matter how the hilt is built. But but yeah, basically that was a way in Central Europe in late medieval times. Basically a way to avoid legislation. Well, not really. That's not how avoid legislation works, but it's got to do with weapon regulation and stuff like that. I think it might also have to do with who was able to carry swords. Out in the open, you could carry a messer, but not swords. The White Flame, the History of the Council of Mages. Yeah, we have those books already. Right? Indeed. And some money over here. So this is the Human Enclave. And that basically means that we're done in here. We're going outside. In a little bit, where just there's always more to see. Oh, there's definitely more to see up here. Huh? You guys have a fireplace out here? What is that? What is that supposed to be? Oh, there's a place of power here. Are those coals? Or is it like in video games where lava doesn't obey the laws of physics? Because it kind of looks like lava. It kind of looks like what you'd build in Minecraft. You know, you always put lava everywhere because it looks cool. And it lights the place up.
Trust the girl?
But I trust Jorvik, and he trusts her.
I don't think we'll get through this in one piece.
We knew we might not at the start. Lighten up. The storm is coming. Let's enjoy the weather while we still can.
The storm is coming, so this is an elven enclave, maybe? Why is it an enclave in the first place? I mean, it isn't. Yeah, everything is alright. It isn't an enclave. The human enclave is an enclave because this is a dwarven town, an elven town. And, I can't talk to him. Greetings indeed. I can go into their houses, though, but I don't imagine there's gonna be a whole lot of things. Yeah, just normal stuff.
I remember when we were children in Dol Blathanna.
You used to call me the Blue Petal Girl.
You would put flowers in your blue ones, always.
Blue is still my favorite color.
Cornflowers, irises, forget-me-nots.
Blue flowers are really nice. They're not very common in real life. Jorveth.
Greetings, Gwynblade.
Fancy meeting you here.
What could Philippa want? Why does she care about Vergen being free, independent?
Like all sorceresses, she likes to dabble in politics. Not one of them would hesitate to sacrifice another life if it furthered their goals.
Quite a one-sided opinion. All? None? Life's rather colorful. It's not all black and white.
Shades of grey, I think. I have no illusions about mages. You know the fate which the Queen of the Valley of Flowers reserved for the Alvan youth. Enid Anglina, known also as Francesca Finderbear, another sorceress. In exchange for the creation of an Alvan kingdom in Dol Blathanna, she sent the Scoia'tael to be butchered, while attacking Nilfgaard's foes from the rear. She had a chance to call it off. She could have opposed the Emperor of Nilfgaard and summoned the squirrels to defend the Valley of Flowers.
Why didn't she?
In the name of a higher purpose. It's what the Emperor wanted. That's why we became bandits after the war. That's why elves are dying, our young murdered by the likes of Roach. And that's why I cannot trust Philippa Eilhart.
Oh, what a shame. That does explain what happened. They mentioned before that the elves were served up to Nilfgaard as a means to end the war. This is a very different perspective towards, I think, the same event. Might be mistaking the events. But it does fit, and it is interesting. It likely is, as he's saying. It's a shame. This game this path of the storyline is really weird. It's not. I don't think it's well written. Specifically, what isn't well written. It's well written in general, but what isn't well written is the attitude, or it's specifically the attitude that Yorveth, and not just Yorveth, the squirrels in general, have towards those they are fighting. And Yorveth over here is also stretching that sort of attitude towards the mages, or the sorceresses rather. And he's mentioned it before, so this is nothing new. But when he said, when he was talking about all sorceresses do this and all that, and Geralt was like, "Oh, it's never black and white." Well, that's not true. And it's not true in the setting, and it's a very nice first off, it's a very nice opportunity for Yorveth to make a good point. Not that he might not be able to make that point, but it's something that I mentioned before in a previous episode. But which is how sorceresses come to be, basically. And the point of contention here was they never hesitate to sacrifice someone's life if it furthers their goals. And Geralt objected to all sorceresses, or no sorceresses object, but he didn't actually object to the never, which is the easier point to pick, because even the worst murderer in the world, of the worst person in bad to all bad, will always have some exception to the rule. You might have, like, the worst killer, and you can say, oh, that person never sees anybody without killing them. That's not true. Unless they are literally like that, in which case they wouldn't even know how to talk. Because, the never applies to everybody. You see somebody, you kill them. Not like, that never is very powerful. And obviously he's using hyperbole. But the point that Yorveth is making is that all sorceresses are like that. All of them are willing to sacrifice somebody to further their goals. And this is a little bit of foreshadowing for how we're going to deal with sorcerers in the future in this game, obviously. So he's making a point here. The problem is what Geralt says is not true. And that's why I say that Yorveth has the opportunity here to make a very good point. Because it is a matter of black and white when it is a systemic issue. And when I say systemic, I mean, what does systemic means? What does it mean? It means of the system. So, if you become a sorceress, what do you require to be a sorceress? If there's any feature of the system that turns you into a sorceress, if there's any feature of that system that turns you into a murderer or into somebody that is willing to sacrifice other people or sacrifice people to further your goals, then yes, all sorcerers is like that. Otherwise, they wouldn't be a sorceress. And this sort of perspective is it's a very powerful argument to make in this particular case, because that is exactly what happens with sorcerers, as I mentioned before, and I'm just gonna go over it again in a little bit. But the point is, it's a very powerful argument to make, because it applies to a lot of things in life and to a lot of things in this setting. Systemic issues are very powerful, and they're not necessarily a matter of black and white when it applies to the individual, because obviously we look at Triss in a different way. For example, the way she acts in the first game specifically, and in this game, and in the third game as well. Triss is very different in the third game, I feel. But the point is, we look at Triss, and then we look at other sorceresses, and we see that they're very different individuals, and they have very different priorities and attitudes towards their goals and all that sort of stuff. So it's not a matter so much of the individual, but when you're making systemic claims, which is the case when you say all sorcerers this or all sorcerers that, you're making a sort of a categorical. It's literally what categorical means. It applies to the category of. So it's a categorical claim towards the sorceresses. You're making a systemic argument. So it is a matter of black and white. Obviously, you might be wrong, and I might be wrong here. But as far as I can tell, sorceresses are powered, or their magic and other things about them are powered by the failed students that go into the academies and don't make it into sorceresses. And as far as I know, become eels or whatever, crabs in some ponds in there. And again, I've never seen the TV series, and the only book I've read is The Last Wish. So, and it doesn't talk about this, or if it does, I forget completely. So I might be wrong about this, but if it is the case that sorceresses, in the process of becoming a sorcerer, sorceress require the exploitation of other people to further their goals, then yeah, his argument is absolutely correct, and Geralt is just playing the middle ground here because I don't know. That's why I say it's not well written. Some of his arguments are not well written. I think the developers just felt like. I think the developers legitimately think that like when I say legitimately, I mean in their heart of hearts, as it were, and consciously perhaps even, most likely in fact, they think that the Scoia'tael's plight is the best side of this thing, and then they try to make Geralt make the devil's argument here in a way, and he just comes across as disingenuous and it's not even that he comes across as disingenuous. The writers come across as disingenuous, and he comes across as foolish and naive, at least in this case, because he himself is making a categorical and sort of systemic argument and saying it's never black and white when that's actually very easily disproven. Yes, it is sometimes it is black and white, and that is a thing that we can argue, and in fact prove, because we point to a thing. I just pointed to a thing of the sorceresses. Even if they don't in fact survive off of the failed sorceress students, my argument still stands as a disproof of that of Geralt's claim, because it doesn't have to be that it's like this. I'm just giving an example. If it were like this, then it would be a matter of black and white, which means that sometimes it is a matter of black and white, and Geralt is wrong when he says that it isn't.
Roach could be on the other side of the fog.
In that case, I'll finally get him. I came close in Flotsam.
Been after him for a while?
Ever since he became leader of the Blue Stripes. During his first mission as commander, he ambushed one of my units, cut it down to the last elf. Surprised me for the first and last time. I've been more cautious since then.
It's worth pointing out the character Roach is portrayed to be here. And I think it sort of ties into what I was saying, that the developers know that the Scoia'tael are the ones in the right. Yorveth, in particular, is the one in the right, in comparison to... in his sort of match against Roach. Roach, one of the very first things that we see him do in the game is him talking about the raping and pillaging of the city, when you know, about at the end of the war that the game starts with Geralt explaining and all that sort of stuff. Another very sort of character-defining moment for Roach is right the very second we land in the first act, or the act in Flotsam, where Roach says, "Oh, is Triss on her period or something?" Am I right? That's another one. And just Roach, time and again, is portrayed like just the ultimate jerk, and doing his job, obviously, as a blue stripe. So you can make the argument for the blue stripes, make the systemic argument against or in favor of them, depending on how you look at what the blue stripes stand for in relation to the political conflicts in the setting. But Roach specifically is portrayed as a jerk, and so it doesn't feel like it's an even match, because when I say an even match, I mean, it doesn't feel like the developers are trying to portray them as sort of like, oh, it's a both sides of the coin situation. No, Roach is fighting for the wrong side, and he's a jerk. Yorveth isn't as much of a jerk, or in fact, I don't remember him acting at all like a jerk. He's just sort of like doing his thing. And he is fighting, he's got reasons, and he's got arguments. So again, it just comes across, and whenever Geralt, and I'm saying this because I'm pretty sure Geralt is going to come up with his middle ground, sort of golden middle sort of arguments again. But I'm saying that because whenever Geralt argues against Yorveth, it just comes across, it's just so like, oh, we need to come up with an argument against Yorveth. What is Geralt going to say? Oh, he's not sure if he's fighting for the right side. Why is he not? Why is he not? Especially because, yes, he is. I chose it to be the case. I should have the power to you know, as a role player, as a role playing gamer, I should have the power to tell Geralt to be in to to be sure of his decision. But even if even if it is about his character is he's the Busher of Blaviken. He's definitely sure. He wouldn't be sure to fight for Roach in the first place. And he's just like, he has a little bit of kickback towards Roach. Or is it just my choice? I think it was my choice. I told Roach to fuck off the first choice, and that set the tone a little. Geralt never really argues against Roach all that much, and that's another thing. You contrast the way he talks to both Roach and to Yorveth, and towards Roach he's just like, okay, yeah, we do this and we do that, and it's all, and against Yorveth is just like, oh, I'm not really sure. Did you really change your tone? I don't know. Have you ever heard an elf to do something or other? Anyway.
So it's a personal matter. Vengeance, a theme straight out of Dandelion's ballads.
The safety of the Scoia'tael demands his death. Of the commanders first appointed to such units, he's the only one still alive.
I noticed there's no Temerian emblem in your collection.
We should not claim something's done when it is not.
You do realize that a dozen others will replace him when he's gone. Possibly dirtier foes, possibly worse.
Better to have a known enemy, you say? That doesn't apply to Vernon. A more determined demon has never walked upon this earth. The longer he is active, the better he gets. I must put an end to it.
Possibly dirtier than Roach? More determined? Roach is pretty determined. I think Yorveth's argument is actually, he's just sort of like, Geralt is like, yeah, you're right. But he doesn't say anything. And I think, yeah, he's right.
Tell me about this Dwan for whom the Scoia'tael are ready to do battle.
Saskia? She's no Dwan. Certainly not like the others. You've seen her. I doubt I need to explain.
She's fighting for a Pontar Valley for dwarves, elves, and humans alike. I thought you despised humans.
I may only be a warrior, but I'm no fool. This is the best we can hope for now, and it's better than the Valley of Flowers.
And look at that. He didn't say that he despises humans, or that he doesn't. It's Geralt's portrayal of him that stands. Why, and like, why do you think that he despised humans? Could it be because of what happened? Or rather, what happens? And one example that we saw in this game is what happened in Flotsam. Because that happens before. Could it be that they live in a segregated society even in Flotsam? Could it be that the dwarves and elves that Yorveth himself despises that live in Flotsam, even they are treated badly by humans? That could be the why, but more importantly, the why do you specifically, Geralt, think that of him? Because we know for a fact that, well, I'm comparing him to Loredo. I'm comparing Yorveth to Loredo here, not so much to Roach. But the two sides between Yorveth and Loredo, there's no doubt, there's no reason for doubt that Loredo hates non-humans. Because not only does he talk like he hates non-humans, and he makes arguments that are hateful of non-humans, as I explained when we had a chat with Loredo, but also the events that happen in the game are that of Loredo hating non-humans. But Yorveth never really, I don't know. I don't think there is a portrayal of Yorveth. And when I say portrayal, I mean like one line where he's like, oh, typical humans, or something like means that the writers are trying to portray him as human-hating. He never comes across as that. And so that when I ask why Geralt thinks that of him, it's an actual question, it's not a rhetorical question. I mean, it is a little bit of a rhetorical question, but it is also an actual question. I don't know why Geralt thought that. Again, it might be just him being like, trying to play the golden middle or something.